let's get updated on we just had Super Tuesday last week. And so we're going to take a look at the results so far. It is no surprise, I think, to anybody that the two candidates that we thought we were going to get, we are getting. To this point, Donald Trump appears to be the runaway nominee for the GOP with collectively over 1,000 delegates to his name. Nikki Haley was able to swing a miracle out of the beautiful, beautiful state of, well, it's not really a state, but Washington, D.C. She won that state and also Vermont, I believe. Yeah, she did win Vermont and got 9 delegates from there. But it's been an interesting process because Nikki Haley, she's been sticking around for so long. It's been very, very interesting in states with open primaries. And I believe we talked about this in a previous episode, like when the New Hampshire primaries were going down. If there's an open primary, we're getting videos of interviews of people that are going to vote for Nikki Haley in the Republican primary from Democrats, from Democratic voters who intend to vote for Joe Biden, but they dislike Donald Trump just enough, so they're going to try to go act like a Republican voter and in hopes of giving Nikki Haley votes. It's been a very, very interesting thing to watch. As of right now, I mean, technically, I guess Donald Trump needs 1,215 delegates to win the nomination, but that'll all be decided at the actual Republican National Convention, whenever they do that. And same with the Democratic Party. Joe Biden running away with it. And, oh, Penny, are you missing Daddy today, sweetheart? The show dog's getting a little upset. Hopefully you guys don't hear her in the background. We might let her out in a minute. But yeah, incumbent Mr. Joe Biden, the thriving picture of health that he is running away with it. And that should be no surprise to anybody. He's the incumbent president, and he's the only person they've allowed essentially to run the race. So he's just kind of doing the thing. The interesting thing about this whole process is that there are, we have Dean Phillips who dropped out. He was kind of in the wings trying to get, he was trying to run his own little campaign for a little while, and he has gotten 0 delegates so far. And Marianne Williamson, the very interesting person that she is still sticking around the race, just kind of doing her thing, but obviously has 0 delegates to her name. But there's other candidates that they mark out here as having 23 delegates. And who are these other delegates here? Well, it's a very interesting thing because obviously, as we will discuss when we hit our international block a little bit more, the Democrats have a big problem right now in Joe Biden, and that's because their voter base, is it Minnesota? Or Michigan, Minnesota and Michigan. Well, we can start with this one, but a giant block of their voter base, the progressive voter block, is incredibly anti-Israel to the point where, well, we'll just say they're very, very pro-Palestine. And while this primary has started to go, there's been this weird kind of grassroots movement of boycotts, votes, protest votes against Joe Biden in what some people are calling the uncommitted category. It's not exactly always uncommitted. Sometimes it's just different states have different versions of it, and there's been different things in every state, different kind of campaigns, more or less, for it. What does it tell you that every poll shows Americans don't want Trump versus Biden, and that's exactly what we have. That's democracy at its finest, baby. That's democracy at its finest, right? That is 2 powerful groups that run politics telling you what you can and can't vote on. They give you your choice. We don't actually have the choice. So that's a good one. But yeah, anyways, this uncommitted vote is always coming from people that are protesting essentially against what we'll say Joe Biden's blind allegiance to Israel as the Israel-Gaza conflict has been carrying on. And in multiple states now, they've gotten a lot of votes for it. In Minnesota, for example, uncommitted But 18.9% of the vote, 45,914 votes. They gained 14 delegates in an uncommitted status, which is that's a decent amount, man. That is a decent amount now. Who I don't know what ends it really means. I don't think there's any tangible thing that's going to happen from the uncommitted delegates. That just means they go to the Democratic National Convention where they will pick Joe Biden to be their president. They don't technically have to throw their allegiance behind him, but of course they're going to. They're not going to pick anybody else to do it. But Minnesota was a big one, and so was Michigan. Michigan, boom. Michigan, over 100,000 votes for uncommitted, 13.2%. The delegates weren't as much in this one. Michigan's a very big state with big populous centers like Detroit and stuff like that. But still, there's another 2 delegates gained right there. So it's funny that Joe Biden's biggest opponent in his primary election is himself and his track record. It's a very interesting thing. So either way, that's the way it goes. We all know that we've been knowing this was going to happen since Donald Trump announced and since Joe Biden decided he's going to try to stick around as long as possible. So we will see. Get exactly when. Let's take a look. See here. When is the DNC 2024? When is that coming up? Where is it's in Chicago? July. Okay, so they'll be doing that scheduled to be held August 19th through 22nd, 2024. So that'll be good. That's when they will know whether or not we actually pick Joe Biden or not. And then July, that's the Milwaukee. Scheduled to be held in July 2024 for the Republicans. That's when we'll actually definitely find out who the exact candidates are. I don't think it's any surprise that it's going to be Donald Trump. I'm still kind of holding out a little bit that something's going to happen with Joe Biden because they can't be running that dude. Welcome to the south of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready.